Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Axe of the Blood God, an independent RPG podcast. I'm your host, Kat Bailey. Joining me, as always, my lovely co-host, Nadia Oxford.
Sorry, we were talking Cyberpunk before we started, and that stupid meme gets in your head really fast.
Axe of the Blood God's gameplay is fully... Wait, dang, I did it wrong. Axe of the Blood God's conversation is fully gameplay-driven. There we go. Also joining us is my equally lovely co-host, Eric Van Allen.
I have a totally normal voice today. Don't say anything about it. No comments, please. I definitely did not do karaoke last night and shatter my vocal cords.
What song specifically shattered your vocal cords?
I think the ones that probably did it in the most. We had a very therapeutic performance of Helena by My Chemical Romance. It was a very emo night. It's the emo songs that are tough because you do like I Got Friends in Low Places by Garth Brooks. You know, that's kind of a nice, comfortable vocal range. But then you get into like the last song of the night was Cute Without the E, cut from The Team by Taking Back Sunday. And I was doing all the backup parts. But I mean, there was some screaming, there was some hollering, there was some hooting, some incredible performances.
A hooting and a hollering.
It was a good time.
Hooting and hollering.
Well, we'll be hooting and hollering because we're going to be recapping the Nintendo Switch Direct that happened earlier this week. There were a bunch of RPG announcements. We were live reacting to it. Thanks to everybody who joined us. We had a really good crowd.
A lot of fun. It was a great crowd.
Especially given how early it was in the morning. I was up at like 6:30 in the morning, blinking the sleep away.
On the East Coast, we were just cruising.
Frantically trying to get my stream set up in time for the stream. I was like,
We did it.
But we did it. We got it live. It was me, Nadia, and Victor. We had a great time talking about it. And it's over on Twitch. And we'll be live reacting to the Switch 2 stream, which we'll also be doing predictions for in this episode. It'll be Eric, Nadia, and Victor. Please tune in. And maybe if you have two screens, tune in to Kind of Funny as well, or watch the VOD because I'll be live reacting over there.
Only if you have
you got two screens. You got your you got your mission.
Yes, you got your mission. Tell your friends. So Blood God, we're gonna be everywhere for the big Switch 2 reveal happening on April 2nd. We'll get to all of that in just a moment. We'll also be talking about the Monster Hunter Wilds title update. Maybe I'll react a little bit to ranked play being out on Pokemon TCG Pocket.
Oh, no.
Free Ren. Maybe talk a little Free Ren because that's what we're watching in our monthly side quest club right now. And lots more to come in this week's episode. Before we get to all of that, if you enjoy the show, support us on Patreon at patreon.com/bloodgodpod, where for $5 a month, you get access to the premium version of our newsletter, an ad-free version of the podcast, and you support all of us. We're currently doing this as a full-time job. This is how we put food on the table, folks. So give us a hand. Keep the show going. We really appreciate you. We've been doing this for 4 years now, and we're still here. So it feels really good. A bunch of housekeeping items coming up for you. We've got a Pantheon episode. The reason Cyberpunk 2077, it's all on our brains right now. We've been playing it a lot. Recording on April 1st. Please look forward to that on the Discord. The episode itself will be on April 2nd. And we have just completed another Pantheon vote. And the next Pantheon for the Backlog of Shame, Vagrant Story. Yasumi Matsuno's PlayStation 1 classic.
Boy, oh boy, you're all in for something, I'll tell you that much.
We're going to be pushing some boxes around.
Hope you like Evilise.
Oh boy. I look forward to revisiting that one. The last time I played it, I got to a boss and then literally couldn't do any damage to it, and I bounced off it.
I did a Retronaut episode about Vagrant Story with an interview with the translator, Alexander Smith. So hit that up. Some really interesting stuff there. There's actually an old US, I don't remember if it was One Up or US Gamer. We wrote a story about Alexander O. Smith and the what he did to localize.
Is that Tales from Localization Hell by Bob Mackey?
No, it's something like it's called Make It Biblical. I think Parrish wrote it, but I'm not 100% sure. Really good stuff. Really cool. It is a great.
I think it was John Lerner did a giant final, or was that Final
You're
Fantasy
right.
12?
Sorry, I keep misnaming him. Poor John. I'm so sorry. It was John Lerner.
John Lerner.
Who is really, really good at doing like those kind of deep depths things. Like I love his annotated Castlevania series. If you want to watch something.
We also have our free Ren watch party going on right now. I just watched up to episode 5. That's happening over on the Discord. We're going to be talking about that as part of our next premium side quest episode. That's happening in May. So Cyberpunk in April, free Ren in May.
It's going to be anime. That's how you remember it. Anime.
If you haven't bought it already, we've got 10th anniversary merch over at shop.bloodgodpod.com with a 20% discount for the Stars of Destiny. And make sure to subscribe to our newsletter, which happens twice per week, Tuesday and Thursday, over at bloodgodpod.com. Okay, let's talk about the Nintendo Direct, which happened earlier this week. Several new games were revealed for the Nintendo Switch, along with several RPGs. The games that were not on there, some people there was rumors of a Bravely Default remake or remaster that did not appear, sadly, and the long-rumored Fire Emblem Genealogy of the Holy War remake that has been said to be sitting in a warehouse for years now, nowhere to be seen.
As long as I've been on the show, we've been talking about Genealogy of the Holy War remake. Like
sometimes dead is better.
Sometimes dead is better.
It's never coming out. It's never coming out. The camera's just panning to me and a single tear is coming down my eye. And I was just like... But Dark Deity 2 is coming out. And that looks like Fire Emblem for the GBA. And it has a roguelite mode. And I was like, yes, please? Yes? I was writing about this in the newsletter. I was like, I think I got to play this game. Holy cow, looks really cool. I think Eric was trying to get me a code or something. So
we're working on it. If you're listening to this podcast and you rep Dark Deity 2, hit me up.
Yeah, hit us up, my friends. Okay, here's some of the announcements that happened at the Switch 1 stream. There was a Saga Frontier 2 remaster that shadow dropped. It's now available. Witchbook appeared for the first time in 8 years. It was first revealed in 2017.
Oh my gosh.
Back when it was still kind of cool to like Harry Potter. That's out in winter 2025. We got a fresh look at Pokemon Za. It'll have a Royale tournament at night, and the battle system has received several updates. We got a first look at Mega Evolutions. We got gameplay of Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D remake. We saw Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar. We're getting a Devil's Summoner remastered as Raido remastered The Mystery of the Soulless Army. We saw Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar, and finally, Super Robot Wars Y. A new Super Robot Wars game. G-Witch, Gundam Witch for Mercury is going to be in it, along with Macross Delta. Those are big additions, folks. Big additions. But what stood out to you the most, Eric Van Allen? And why was it G-Witch in Super Robot Wars Y?
Well, so it wasn't G-Witch because G-Witch wasn't in the US Direct. It was only in the Japanese Direct.
No, it was in the Japanese Direct, but to me, they're the same thing. It's a Nintendo Direct.
There were some other bangers in the Japan Direct that I'm waiting to see if we get those in the US or not. But I think from what we got announced, I was honestly a little surprised by Raido, just because Atlas has been on the trend of let's remake, let's remaster, let's get everything done. And eventually they're going to run out of games, till they get Devil Survivor in there. So knock on wood, our time is coming. But I think actually seeing Raido remastered, the way it looks, the way it runs, looks pretty sick and looks different enough from what Atlas normally puts out through Persona, through Shin Megami Tensei. Looks like it's going to be an interesting alternative option for people who want more from that series, but maybe don't want to play the same typical thing that you would expect from a Mega 10 game. That looked really, really cool. I think that's a good pickup, a good lock-in. I'd have to go look at the recap to see some of the other indies that popped at my face. Well, I don't know why I called it that. That jumped out at me.
Popped in your face. Okay, Eric.
They're over here popping in my face. What Witchbrook, yeah, no, I'm really excited to see Witchbrook. Like that has been a long time coming. Yeah. And it's a type of game that you ask yourself, why aren't more people making this kind of game? And I think the fact that it took the team this long to get to a point where they feel ready to show it kind of answers that question, but it looks really fantastic. I also love that it's set in like a college town. So the whole setup is that you're going to this little town where there is like an academy for witches, but it's a college and it's got college town vibes where you can walk around and hang out and stuff. And that was one of the cooler parts of Harry Potter, was the idea that, you go to Hogwarts and you're in the little school, but then you head down to, was it Hogsmeade or whatever? And you get to take a little sojourn out to Hogsmeade and all that.
The Trails of Cold Steel series for that reason, by the way. It's definitely like, this is a college town vibe.
Okay. Best Trails of Cold Steel.
You're also paying off tuition, so you're going to have student debt?
College Station, but for witches is crazy. Finally, witches C-stat.
Is Witchbrook more of a party school?
Or is it more of an academic party school? Animals.
This is how I end up.
Literally.
This is how I end up back in the magician's hole. I didn't want to go back to the.
Is this like the University of Wisconsin-Madison? Where just people are all about getting drunk on magic potions and whatnot?
Yo, I got this poly juice.
Magic potions, just fentanyl.
Oh God, that's intense. No, it looks really good. I like I'm a big fan of the sprite art. I can't believe it's taken this long for this game to actually come out. So I hope Chucklefish has a pretty good track record with these types of games, and so I'm really looking forward. Eric looks really excited right now.
I forgot the thing because the name is so ridiculous that I keep forgetting it. No Sleep for Kaname Date from AI The Somnium Files. Uchikoshi over there just cooking on gas. Like, I am very intrigued to see what this is. For those at home, AI The Somnium Files is the new series that Uchikoshi spun up that is Zero Escape-esque, but not quite Zero Escape. And it has some interesting escape room stuff tied into it, but also some other weirder puzzle things. But that series has been getting progressively better with each new entry. 1 was very good. 2 was phenomenal, in my opinion. And I'm very interested to see what they do with the third game, because they already had some stuff in there that looked like it was very Zero Escape inspired. So thrilled to see this. Very excited for this.
Excellent. Nadia, what jumped out at you?
Well, let's talk about how Patapon apparently is now coming to the Switch, because that was
Patapon.
And also, can we also talk about new Rhythm Heaven game? Holy crap,
let's go.
Way too long. I don't recall the name of the lead singer for that game, or lead musician rather. But I do know that he had throat cancer, so I'm hoping, hopefully he's fully recovered and ready to go again. I'm so excited. I just wish we'd get Rhythm Heaven Fever on the Switch. It's gotta be there someday, man. Gotta be there. But I'm just like, with Patapon, wasn't that a Sony thing? I feel like there was something else.
It was
Sony-ish that was on there too. And I'm trying to remember what it was.
Hot Shots Golf.
Yeah, that's a big one. So Sony's up to something. I think console agnosticity, if that's the word.
I just think that the barriers between consoles are starting to break down.
It's not Sony though. It's Bandai Namco published. So Sony's basically like loaning this stuff out and saying like, hey, go play with our properties, which is really, really interesting, because also Hot Shots is not being made by Clap Hands, which is the normal studio. It's being made by Hyde, which is the Digimon Survive studio.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. And like, it looks great. I was watching that trailer, and you could have told me that was a Clap Hands Sony Hot Shots game, and I would have totally believed you. So they're doing a great impersonation there, and I'm really interested to see what they do with their spin on it. Because I love Hot Shots Golf. It's such a good series. It's fantastic. Fun. It's a really, really good. Like, if you want to play golf and you want to be like serious about golf, it's a good one of those. And if you want to have like a fun party time with golf and do wacky, silly things, you can also do that. And it balances the two really, really well. I feel like Mario Party was always, or not Mario Party, Mario Golf basically party golf. Became that over time, where they went more towards the party game route, more towards the multiplayer route and the fun gimmicks and stuff like that. And then you have like Tiger Woods, PGA Tour for the more serious people. Hot Shots always struck the middle, and I liked it a lot for that. It managed to appease both camps, I think.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about it, so I'm excited about that. But there's so many Sony things that we could potentially see next week. Like Lancehart in the chat saying Bloodborne. At this point, who knows?
Bloodborne at the Switch Direct?
Wouldn't that be wild, though? Imagine Bloodborne 2 at the Switch Direct.
Nadia. Turn
Nadia.
Turn the stove off, Nadia.
Ghost will hear you.
Come on, anything can happen. We live in bonkers times. Nothing's up is down and down is up.
You said the words, and all of a sudden, you just start seeing eyes appearing in the darkness. People know they hear you said the words. Don't say the words, Nadia.
What's the word?
Also, the thing I do think we'll see in the Switch 2 Direct is like getting ahead in the predictions. I think we'll see Silk Song finally. This is it. It's happening. Switch. We're finally seeing Silk Song. They've been waiting until now. It's been teasing it forever. I guess this is where I talk about Super Robot Wars Y.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I've played like 700 hours of Super Robot Wars. I like tabulated it up a little while ago. I've played so much of that. It looks like a more standard Super Robot Wars game, just at first blush. It fits more into the V, X, and T setup rather than Super Robot Wars 30, which tells me that it's probably going to be more linear than the mission-based approach that was taken in SRW 30. It has several returning shows, including Code Geass. That's a big one, I think.
Lelouch of the Rebellion. No, Resurrection. That was the second season.
Lelouch of the Rebellion. Lelouch of the Rebellion.
Lelouch.
Also, they're bringing in Gumbine, which is one of my personal favorites from the original Isekai mecha show. One of the OG Isekai shows. But
there's a G Gundam in there too, I think.
G Gundam is in there. G Gundam was in, I want to say X. Yeah. SRWX or T, one of the two. I think it was in T. So G Gundam's always a good time in a Super Robot Wars game. I'm sure they've got all the assets already. It's just fun to look at all of the crazy animations with Shining Finger and whatnot. The G Gundam was a little more limited than I wanted when I played it in the last Super Robot Wars. So I hope they expand it somewhat, because there were certain combo attacks and things like that were missing, because it's just harder to do animations in HD with the kind of assets that they have these days. But the new ones, the big new ones, Macross Delta, big, but Gundam Witch from Mercury, which, Eric, I know you've been like dying to talk about it forever with me. It's only going to be season 1.
Did my Sulamio fan art in the background not give that away?
I found the music and the vibes and the characters of Gundam Witch from Mercury season 1 delightful. Its anime is all heck. So anime. So I just actually got done rewatching the original Gundam recently, and that is your war anime, classical found family war anime. Mm-hmm. Gundam Witch from Mercury is a high school anime with barely repressed gay vibes. It's very, it says explicitly like, the two main characters are kind of in love with each other. Or are they?
And they were roommates.
Oh my god.
And there are corporations, and the students are challenging each other to duels. If you're into that kind of thing, amazing stuff. I took my Gundam hat off and put on my anime hat and had a perfectly great time watching Gundam Witch from Mercury, and I think it'll vibe really well in Super Robot Wars. So,
I think obviously I love the design of the Ariel. I think that's one of the better lead Gundam designs they've had since IBO and the Barbados. But G-Witch is such a good one because I think not only do those Gundam designs get really good and really interesting as the seasons go on, you get into some of the season 2 upgrades that some of the pilots get, and there's some really, really inventive use of classic designs like funnels and stuff like that I really, really liked. But G-Witch as a whole, it's Fire Emblem Three Houses. That's why I kept telling people is like, if you want Fire Emblem Three Houses, that's what G-Witch is. Where literally the first season is the school phase, where, like you said, everybody is there at war school to do war with each other and compete. And there's a lot of posturing for families, but your families are like corporations instead of like royal monarchies and stuff like that. But there's still a lot of that tied in. So if you like that sort of stuff, sort of like, I'm going to duel you in the name of my family's honor and stuff like that, like it's all there, and it's caked on so thick, it's great. But part 2, a little bit more divisive. I think that's where it becomes more of a Gundam thing. That's where you get into the war phase, where war breaks out, and all of the kids who were going, or most of the kids who were going to school, kind of get dragged into the war in various ways, and it becomes more of a Gundam thing. There's definitely a few episodes in there that feel a lot more Gundam than they did before.
Letta gets replaced as the main character.
Yeah, it becomes the Miorine show for a long time, which I didn't mind because I like Miorine a lot. I think those two as kind of deuteragonists in the second season work well for me. But I know you like Soletta. That's fair.
What a bait and switch. I'm sorry. So Super Robot Wars Y, it's the first one in a while. They didn't release the full series list. Did you know that Iron-Blooded Orphans still is not appeared in a Super Robot Wars game?
Wait, they haven't put the Barbados in there?
No.
That's my boy. That's the Barbados.
Maybe it was DLC in 30. But to my knowledge, Iron-Blooded Orphans IBO has not been in SRW, so hopefully it makes its debut in this one.
The ending of IBO is still one of the craziest things ever, because it's basically it's the Xenoblade Chronicles 3 photo at the end, and they do that. Oh my god! Yeah, they do that twist where you're like, wait, what? Oh. And it's so good. It's fantastic. Yeah.
Okay. So IBO was in SRW 30, but it was as DLC.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but it DLC, like, let's give us like a proper story here. Like, let's actually enjoy the IBO story in a Super Robot Wars context. If you don't know what Super Robot Wars is, by the way, it's a tactics game that mashes up lots of different anime. We've been dwelling on it for like several minutes now, but it's a tactics game that's been around since the days of the original Game Boy, and has basically every mecha series you can imagine has appeared in that series at some point or another. The last game to come out for it was SRW 30 in 2021, which was a big 30th anniversary celebration of the series, but has everything from Gundam to Getter Robo to Code Geass to Evangelion, and they all mashed together. Their stories are all combined and mashed together, and everybody's having a good time banging the little action figures together.
Have they stopped basically trying to make this series a thing in the West? Because they wasn't even on the
No, it's coming out.
That's
SRWY is coming out here.
Yeah,
it's a global release.
It's picking up in the West now. Like, I think 30 actually had a pretty good reception in the West.
Yeah.
And that was...
It's a great game.
Like, I got the press release for this and all that because I wrote up the news for it, and their press release, they were like, we're bringing it to the West. The West is so excited. We're talking about this for the West. It's like, oh, they're really like seeing some momentum and trying to capitalize on it. So, and I think there is momentum because like G-Cux just came out in the theaters. Like, that was a big thing. Whatever you want to call it. I like calling it G-Cux.
That's pretty good.
You have to get in the chair to pilot the robot.
What chair? Have to get into.
I think there were some questions about whether or not the premium sound version is going to be available and easy to get, because, oh my god, I paid more than $100 for the full PC game with the premium sound version on Steam, and I'm just like, wow, what have I done? Holy cow.
Someone's getting royalties.
But it's full of licensed music. It's the main thing. So they hold back vocalized versions of the licensed music in a fully expanded OST. Though, if you're playing on PC, you could probably get a lot of that just through mods and whatnot. So, I don't know if it's worth getting. Anyway, Super Robot Wars. It's a classic. We've talked about it many times on this show over the years. So, go check that out. Last thing I want to touch on, or a couple more things I want to touch on. One is virtual game cards. So there's some confusion when it was being shown on the stream as to what it's all about. So if you're not familiar with it, basically they said that they're introducing this new system where digital games will have these virtual game cards that you can then share with members of your Switch Online family group or a second console.
Not Switch Online. I had the same
Nintendo
assumption.
Switch family group.
Yes, it is specifically not NSO related, which is the pitfall I ran right into. Yeah.
You share these games. You can share these games, and you can share them for up to 14 days. Here's the thing: it's an opt-in feature, and it's not replacing the current system, which is good because I don't want to lose the current system. It's fine for me.
A meme I saw that why can't you be normal screaming meme, like with the kid in the backseat screaming. Someone put that up with like, Nintendo, why can't you have normal DRM? And someone puts up Nintendo screaming.
Yeah, that's accurate.
I have heard though, and this just came up in the chat. Parents are very happy about this. I saw it was the parents I saw on social media saying, "Oh, thank God." So good for them, I suppose.
I was gonna say I was trying to think of who this is for at the end of the day, because we talked about, lending and loaning and stuff like that. Having parent switches and child switches doesn't really make sense if you're a friend group and trying to maximize value from something in the way you would with like Steam family sharing or whatever. But it does make sense if you have, say, parents have a Switch, they play games on it, and they want to buy games for the kids' Switch, but they don't want the kids' Switch to have a ton of access, but they still need to go and buy stuff for the kids' Switch. This is probably an easier way of just saying, okay, kids' Switch can have the Mario game for a little bit, but it's not going to have access to the Switcher 3, right? It's not going to have access to Doom or whatever.
Give your kids access to Doom.
I played Quake when I was like 6, so I don't know if I'm look at me and see if that's what you want for your child, and then make your decisions accordingly. But I played Quake when I was young, so
your child.
Just playing Mortal Kombat and ripping people's spines out of their bodies when I was 10 years old. So
and then parents
I turned out great.
Nothing better to freak out about in the 90s.
Give your kid Quake at a young age, and they'll become a podcaster.
About video games at long last. And finally, Saga Frontier 2 Remaster, which was announced and shadow dropped. So here's my key Saga Frontier memory. I bought it when it came out because I bought everything that came out at that time from Square. Because if it had a Square logo, it had to be good. It was the seal of quality on the PS1. And it had gorgeous graphics. And I couldn't make head nor tails of it. This was right around the time that I was becoming fully RPG pilled. And I thought to myself, I don't know what this is all about. I promptly sold it to GameStop at a loss. I'm sure I bought some other game for it. It's still pretty. I'll say that much for it. And the Saga Renaissance continues. We've been getting a lot of different Saga games. Saga Frontier 1 is already available. For my money, pretty good game, actually. Now, do you have any thoughts on Saga Frontier 2?
I mean, I'm...
It was kind of boring.
Hit by a smooth Kawazu. It's not my thing. It was confusing when we were kids because, yes, the first Saga game came here as Final Fantasy Legend. And I knew Final Fantasy by Final Fantasy VI and Final Fantasy IV by that point. So I go into this game, and it's talking to me about eating meat that turns your player into monsters, and like you have these half cleric or elf characters, and halflings can do this, and humans can do this, and it's like, this is not really the Final Fantasy I know. Why do I have a countdown on my weapons? Oh dear God, this sucks. So Saga was always kind of felt a little bit like subterfuge to me, even though it's not the game's fault. But I'm just not a Saga fan. I have tried. And any of you out there who are Saga fans, you just think differently, and that's okay. And I'm glad you're getting like this much content, because Kawazu has someone on something, because he just keeps dropping the hits.
He's just sitting in his office in Square for the rest of his life, just working on Saga.
I like that for him. You know, even though I'm not into his games, you know, you sit in your corner and you spin your Rumpelstiltskin's golden webs. That's good.
Last year, we did I believe a Saga primer, because there was multiple Saga games that were released. So go check that out.
We did. Yeah.
Before we move on, we did get a fresh look at Pokemon Zaw. We got a lot of gameplay. We saw the Battle Royale tournament that happens at night. We got a closer look at the battle system. We got to see Mega Evolutions in action. Any thoughts on that one before we move on? I think there's been a lot of complaints about the graphics. I think it looks fine.
I like how it
back in the PS2 era or the GameCube era, I thought it would have looked pretty darn good. I'll say that much.
It looks fine, and I mean, this will come up in the next segment, but I'm sure it's going to be on Switch 2 with, like, you know, probably better. I'm interested to see where this is going, because I like the fact at nighttime, like I said, it turns into Night City, and you can like start like jumping Pokemon trainers and challenging them. You can surprise a Pokemon trainer. That's great. Like, oh, he's turned away from me. I'm going to throw this Pokeball at his head and see if he responds. And he does.
The world of Pokemon is very violent, isn't it?
Kind of is. I love it.
I don't know about Zaw. I'm getting concerned about Zaw.
Arceus, look, dude, do you remember Arceus? Do you remember that it was just big, open, featureless plains
and
that looked like they could have been just prototyped and dropped into the game?
You know what spoiled me was playing Xenoblade X and going, oh, this hardware can do this. And I'm not saying Xenoblade X looks incredible. There are definitely some textures that look a little under-resed and all that, but it's the world design, it's the art design around it, it's the creative direction around it that just feels so vibrant and so interesting. And I go through these caverns and into these jungle environments that feel lush and inhabited, and then I end up in a new place where there are monsters there that look like they really live in the area. There's not fish flying around on the surface and things like that, and I'm just like, man, this is what I want. This is the thing I want. If I go back to Scarvi, I'm going to just remember the way that it was kind of just, you took the Pokemon overworld and just made it 3D, but didn't think about ways in which that could change how you think about the Pokemon world. And I kind of like the rooftop stuff. I think that's interesting. I do love the setup of a Battle Royale tournament. It's very Yu-Gi-Oh! Dual City arc. And that appeals to me, but I don't know. There's just not that spark for me yet. And Arceus was the thing that got me back into Pokemon, so I have a lot of love for it. But I guess I was hoping for the second shot at it, especially with the extra gap years that Game Freak has had to work on these games, to come back a little bit stronger. And so far, I'm not seeing that real push for something. I'm worried it's going to end up being a game that, honestly, I'm probably just going to want to play on the Switch 2, just so it doesn't, you know, I'm really curious about how performance ends up being between Switch 1 and Switch 2. But also, if ultimately, compared to other things coming out at the time, it'll end up just looking pretty under the barrier, under the bar, whatever. I can talk this morning. Don't worry about it.
It's still some time before it comes out.
Yeah. When is it coming out? It's
like
coming out in the fall?
I don't think it doesn't have a date yet, right?
Yeah, but I think it said fall or holiday or something.
Speaking of Switch 2, April 2nd, 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. or 6 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Eastern, we will be seeing the Switch 2 fully unveiled. We've been waiting for this most of the year. It's a huge deal. Let's talk a little bit about predictions for the stream. I do think that we're gonna be seeing a lot with this one. We're gonna be getting pricing details. We're gonna be getting a release date. which a lot of folks are currently predicting for June. We've already seen some leaks. It seems like pre-orders are going to open on April 9th. Happy birthday to Kat.
Oh, maybe I'll get one for free. I'll say, hi, Kat, it's your birthday. You get a free Switch too.
No. Unfortunately, I'll be on the road, so it might be a little tricky.
Oh,
I think there's some... It'll be interesting to see how Nintendo combats scalpers with the Nintendo
they
Switch.
have a plan, but I don't know.
Yeah. I wonder if they'll take the Steam Deck approach where you have to have a Nintendo account for X amount of time in order to be able to pre-order one. I think that's what it said in the document, the leaked documents that were on Insider Gaming. So, and speculation that'll be $400 thereabouts. Sound about right? I hope it's not more expensive than that, but I wouldn't be shocked actually in the current economic environment.
I don't think they push up another 100. I just don't see that.
$500 for a Switch too.
That's a lot.
Think about how much I paid $800 for my Steam Deck.
Yeah, but
I know that they're going for a more family-friendly audience, but I wouldn't actually be shocked if it's more expensive than people think.
I think $400 is just about right because Nintendo largely has always skewed that way of being just a little bit less pricey than the high-end hardware that's out there. But also, the Steam Deck's an interesting comparison point because it was very much a first iteration of a technology, and you're also kind of buying a PC. You're not buying a bespoke console, and I think that does change some of the normal expectations. Basically. Yeah. That being said, with Nintendo, I'm very interested to see what the rollout looks like in terms of everything around it. Because obviously with the Switch 1, we had Pro controllers, we had Amiibo, we had I don't think they had very many Joy-Con variants at the time. And I don't know what we're calling these new ones. If we're still calling them Joy-Cons, do we call them Switch 2 Joy-Cons?
Joy-Con 2.
Yeah, Joy-Con 2. I don't know if I like that.
The magnetic versions, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm curious to see also if they have accessories for that, if the mouse capability is going to be a thing, if they're going to have attachments for that to make it feel more like a proper mouse. I would love some sort of thing that I can snap it into to make it feel like a computer mouse that I can kind of move around and stuff. So
like a shell almost.
Yeah. Nintendo's good about that stuff. I like the original Switch came with that little goofy slotted in to make a fake Joy-Con controller thing, and I never used it because I got the Pro controller, and I love the Pro controller. I would buy a Pro controller too, absolutely. If they come out with that, I'm buying one. But I'm curious to see what the expanded rollout looks like around this.
For sure.
What would it take for the Switch 2 reveal to be a success, in your opinion?
First parties.
It's all about what Nintendo can offer that other. I think that they'd really have a strong showing if they had third parties backing them up as well, like even for games that maybe were on the last generation and now we're on the Switch. But it's really about what Nintendo comes with. There's going to be a Mario game. I think we can probably all predict that. But I also think that we're going to get a glimpse of what's next for Zelda, even if it might come to the launch window, might come down the road, but I can't see them not giving us something about Zelda. Zelda's really hot for them.
I don't think so. I don't think we're going to see Zelda.
I think the
Zelda. It could be a smaller Zelda.
I think the Zelda promo train is going to get pinned to the movie next year. I think that ramp up makes more sense there. I think Mario is going to be... We're going to see Mario. We're going to see maybe Donkey Kong. I don't know.
Donkey Kong.
Some recognizable faces. Yeah, I think Mario Kart is the obvious one.
It's a lot of the emphasis going to be on Mario Kart 9.
Yes,
that's true. Mario Kart 9 is coming.
It's a big selling game.
It's definitely going to be a Mario.
Yeah, I agree that. As always, it's all about the first party games. Are there any RPGs that you're really hoping to see?
It's the long
Genealogy of the Holy War.
Yeah, Genealogy and the long-rumored Final Fantasy Tactics remaster for sure.
Final Fantasy
Tactics remaster would be nice.
Yeah.
How about a little RPG called Silk Song?
Silk Song, yeah.
For real, I think that we're going to be getting a lot of a lot of games that have been out for a while, but are just now finally coming out on Switch. Baldur's Gate 3, I think we'll see.
I think Baldur's Gate 3 will see.
That'd be cool. That'd be exciting.
Elden Ring, I think that'll be one.
I think there'll be a pretty great sizzle reel of games that are coming, like Elden Ring, Baldur's Gate 3. That's pretty exciting.
My question for y'all, though, is would you play those on a Switch 2? And I guess
I would absolutely play Baldur's Gate 3.
I've played the heck out of them already, so no.
Yeah, that's kind of my question there. Yeah.
But there are plenty of people for whom maybe they only owned a Switch and they're getting a Switch 2 for the first time. They're like, oh, cool, Elden Ring. I've never played that one before.
Witcher did all right on Switch, so I could see that being the case.
Yeah, Becca's saying Final Fantasy 14. I could definitely see FF14 on the Switch too. Like, it's almost a given for me.
Metaphor would be really interesting. Yeah.
Metaphor, I'd love to see what Metaphor on the Switch.
Metaphor would look great, yeah. Mm-hmm. Persona 3 Reload.
Yeah, yeah.
Those are things. Those are games I could see popping up in the Direct for sure.
We're talking. Go ahead.
No, you go.
I was just going to say we're talking a lot about remasters, and that is kind of the tone.
That's the world that we live in now. It's remaster.
That's the tone of the industry, especially as
Cyberpunk 2077 on Switch 2.
There you go.
It happened.
It's the tone as like games are very expensive to make and they're very dangerous to make. Not like literally life dangerous, but like monetarily, fiscally dangerous. Of like new IP is difficult to establish sometimes, and so I think I am hopeful that there is some of that in Switch 2. And I think too there was that weird tech demo that Nintendo was doing that leaked around a little bit. That was that weird
60 frames per second.
No, not that. It was like a building game or something, and it was like a multiplayer. I forgot what the name of it was, but it was something that people had to opt into, and there's footage and screenshots of it leaking out. Yeah, and I would love to see something like that on the Switch 2 that maybe isn't the killer app compared to, Mario Kart 9 or whatever, but something that could play into the Switch 2's strengths of maybe it has some cool mouse capabilities or something like that. But number two, also, like, just adds that little bit of extra. Because I think I talked about Switch 1 on here previously, that it was missing some of the stuff from the 3DS and the DS that I really liked, of just goofy little fun widgets and apps and stuff that would do things. Street Pass was an amazing thing. The Switch 1, I don't think had an internal internet browser, which kind of felt weird. It definitely
was very disconnected.
It was missing a lot of the apps and stuff that you would normally expect to, but there was an era of consoles functioning also as gateways to the internet, but also gateways into weird, cool communities. So you had what was the one where you could write notes and send them to each other?
Chat?
Well, there was PictoChat, but there was also one, I think, on like the Wii U and stuff.
Flipnote?
Like Flipnote, yeah. Where you could there were little mini social forums almost that kind of existed in this space. And I would love, especially in this day and age where a lot of, social media writ large is haunted and is the gaping maw of the abyss. Those kind of siloed off communities are fun and interesting, and I enjoy them. I always loved in Splatoon when you would boot up and you'd go into the lobby and people would have all their little drawn messages and stuff like that. Like, that stuff really works for me with Nintendo, and so I hope to see some of that in this presentation.
I do want to see a return
Bring back the Miiverse. Are there any deal breakers?
If they just show, like, a bunch of swap, but I don't see that happening. So I don't know. Like, maybe if it gets too expensive, because I still got to deal with the exchange rate and taxes and stuff.
Is there a price that's a deal breaker for you? Is $500 too much?
I'd find a way with $500, but beyond that, it'd be hard. Like, I'll say that. But I know I kind of need it for work, so it's I'm independent. I kind of gotta live on my brain meat, as I said on Blue Sky a minute ago.
I think that because we use it for work, it's hard to find a break point. But I do think that if you get up into the 600, 650 range, that's the point where everybody's going to be going, oof. And it's going to hurt.
Yeah.
And you're going to start to see, especially if a lot of the early rollout pulls the it's on Switch 1 but better on Switch 2 thing, where you might see some waffling there and some I'll wait on the Switch 2. And that could be really interesting to see, because I mean it wouldn't be a whole new Nintendo 3DS situation, I imagine, because that was a crazy experiment.
That was a mess up. I think maybe that would deter them from making it too expensive, because the 3DS they got a little greedy and they really got bit for it.
How many games were new Nintendo 3DS exclusive? It was like 3 of them or something like that. It was like Hyrule Warriors.
Like one of them was Xenoblade Chronicles.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was also, you could buy Super Nintendo games on the new Nintendo Switch, which you could not on the OG. But with the Switch 2, one of the things that caught a lot of fans' eyes were the Switch 2 edition, which has led to speculation that there will be some kind of unique version of Switch games. Like, for example, there might be a Switch 2 version of Metroid Prime 4. And so what are we expecting this? Are we thinking that it's going to be more of a paid upgrade, or are we thinking that it's going to be more of a like standalone kind of game where it's sort of PS4 versus PS5 kind of situation?
I would hope that it's going to be a dual entitlement situation, and that the additions are just maybe some sort of way of separating the SKUs in the background to, because Nadia mentioned it earlier, the 60 FPS mode that got like kind of pseudo discovered in the Xenoblade code, where there was indication that there might be a switch that could be flipped for this game to potentially run at 60 FPS. There's a lot of like addendums, and you know, that's all speculation from just peering into code from modders and things like that, so take it with those grains of salt. But I do think that maybe this ends up being something like, okay, you can buy your game, and maybe if you don't want to upgrade to Switch 2 yet, we still want you to play stuff that's going to be on Switch 1. So if Metroid Prime 4 is a cross-gen game, then buy Metroid Prime 4 on Switch 1, play it there, and then when you get your Switch 2, I would hope it's a dual entitlement. My gut says maybe it is a paid upgrade.
I feel
because maybe
like
Switch games jump up to the $70 mark, because I don't think they're at $70 yet, right? They're still at the $60 mark.
Sure.
So I'm curious if that ends up being the case. If Switch is now making the jump up.
They're not at the $70 mark.
Yeah.
We're not that far away from games being $100.
You live here, it's all the same.
GTA 6 is going to set the new bar.
If GTA 6 is $100, I'm not buying GTA 6.
Yeah, I'm not buying it anyway. I'm buying GTA, man.
Yeah.
I got bad news for you, Eric. It's probably going to be $100.
Well, I'm not buying GTA 6 then.
I feel like the reason we saw this surprise direct is they're just kind of telling us, hey, these games are probably going to be on the Switch 2. Like, there's a reason we're doing this so close to the Switch 2 presentation.
I think they were just saying, well, we only got X amount of time for the Switch 2 stream, so here's a bunch of other stuff that's coming on Switch.
Yeah, that's a good point, too. It's good. Like, do we have an idea of how long the stream is going to be for the Switch 2?
I forget. If they did say how long it was going to be, I haven't seen it, but
Tears of the Kingdom was... Wait, Tears of the Kingdom was $70?
Actually, yes, I remember that. It was 70. I took a picture of my receipt. It was like $100, and I said I still paid more for Final Fantasy VI.
It was. Okay, so they've already broken that seal then.
The
trumpets have sounded
twice.
Yeah,
I bought that game twice. What the heck? I bought the limited edition and the launch version.
If we get a 60 frames per second upgrade for that game for the Switch 2, I will absolutely buy it. I will buy it and play it again. That's a great game.
Breath of the Wild. I think we're going to get a 60 FPS for Breath of the Wild.
That's going to be incredible.
Yeah, that'll be cool. So we asked our community if they had any predictions. And here's what they had to say. Stargazer said, I am hoping to see next week from Nintendo Animal Crossing. I think this would be a nice, cozy, chill summer game for Nintendo to release just as everyone is going on vacation. I think that's optimistic. I think if we get an Animal Crossing, it's like 2 years from now. Fire Emblem, if there's not one, what is going on? I also wouldn't be surprised to see at least one Square Enix game. I'm going to take a wild swing and hope, say, it will be new Bravely Default game. That'd be cool.
That'd be interesting.
I think I wouldn't be shocked if we saw Final Fantasy IX, the Final Fantasy IX remake. in the stream or teased or announced? Because that one's been rumored to be in development for ages now. So.
Yeah, Square has been a long time collaborator with Nintendo. You go back to the big Nintendo Directs and there's always something Square related. And usually it's something Square related that is a little bit more retro, a little bit more like to the foundations, you would say, of what Square is versus kind of their FF16 and Rebirth kind of end up going towards the PlayStation 5 and the high-end hardware. But then over on Nintendo, you get your Octopaths, you get your Sagas, you get your things like that, your triangle strategies. So I wouldn't be surprised to see it take that tone.
Basil says, Lost Odyssey Remastered, let's go.
Yeah.
This will never happen, so I might as well wish for it. True.
Well.
I love that energy.
Gucci, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Good hustle.
Spyrus, I predict the return of Miiverse and Street Pass. I wouldn't be surprised if something like Street Pass came back. I think there was rumors of it already. So, and honestly, I miss Street Pass. That was one of my favorite things about the 3DS.
One thing that I've noticed is kind of happening is that we are all being cloistered in our own little communities again, because it's exactly like Cyberpunk, as Eric said. Like, everything outside of our little net communities is basically poison and slop. So Nintendo, don't forget, they just released an app that gives us Nintendo news directly. And RIP if you write about games still, if you're like one of the 2 people who's still employed to write games. But that's Nintendo's news now. They're like...
I like that, actually. I think that's cool, personally.
Twitter doesn't mean as much to them.
I think that's nice because it gives them like a fun thing to just kind of do updates on, and I personally like that. I would rather open my Nintendo app and check that than be like, okay, well, time to open my social feeds and gaze into the it's beyond the
green box.
Yeah, I'm going beyond the black wall for a little bit. I hope I come back. Like,
maybe
that's
come back, maybe not.
Yeah.
Tommy Pencil says, a new Nintendo IP that's a cozy farming game. You know, on that note, I do hope that we see a new Nintendo IP. Yeah, so we focus so much on Pokemon, Fire Emblem, Mario, Zelda. Give us something new. We got ARMS last time.
I was going to say, no one has said ARMS 2. It's time for legs.
It's time for ARMS Redemption arc. Let's go.
Yes, bring it back.
Bring back Twin Tails' butt. We need Twin Tails' butt really badly right now, please.
What was the goopy green boy? Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember the goofy green boy, but I remember the clown, because Nintendo apparently said that Japan doesn't really have the inherent fear of clowns that the West does. So when they released this clown and everyone started freaking out in the West, they're like, oh, we have a power over America, I guess.
Robo Riley says, if a Final Fantasy Tactics remaster doesn't come out on the Switch too, then it's not going to come out for at least the next 10 plus years, if ever. I wouldn't be shocked if we saw a Final Fantasy Tactics remaster. I think that is a good thing to look forward to. I would be, and what the last Final Fantasy Tactics came out on what, a phone? Our last new Final Fantasy Tactics was on A2. Mm-hmm. Beyond that, there was War of the Lions on PSP. Like, I would like that game to be more widely available, please. Thank you.
Has a storyline
like Tactics Ogre. The Tactics Ogre remaster was really good.
We're in a like pseudo tactics renaissance. There's a lot of love for tactics games these days, and
they work really well on touchscreens.
It's time for the king. It's time for the king to show back up.
The return of the king, as it were. The Veg says the Switch 2 menuing is still going to be awful and slow. It does seem like the menus and interface is not going to change that much, but for the love of God. The problem with the eShop is that there's so much slop on that thing, so much garbo games that it just loads so slowly.
How much hentai hits the Switch 2 on day one? How many hentai puzzle games show up in there, or like knockoff?
Remember when Nintendo
are a lot and so much? That's what your choices are.
Remember the Nintendo seal of quality? I do. I remember.
That thing appeared on some weird shit.
Could you imagine seeing that on a hentai game on the Switch eShop or whatever?
Or the million of was it?
Now you're playing with power.
Was it Unpacking that had a bunch of like copy games made of it that like people just started making fake Unpacking to try and sell their version of it instead of Unpacking? It's like I would hope for a solution for that, but in lieu of that, just a shop that runs better and can sort things better and has more functionality. Because when literally like the Steam store, but even like the Epic Game Store is a little bit easier to navigate than the eShop is, like that's kind of a problem.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
It's the worst. It's going to be worse than ever with AI just becoming more and more entrenched because people are just going to keep generating AI slop. And
Well, I hope
I think it'll be
at least tries to moderate some of that, because I can't use the eShop. It's so slow. It's ridiculous how you're a major company and I can't buy your games. Come on.
Every time I boot it up, my Switch just like sobs a little bit. I can hear it crying.
Me too. It's like, why are you doing this to me?
No,
Why do you hate me?
Buy physical, please.
I just want to have a small mea culpa. In the past, I've been like, maybe AI can mean really interesting thing for RPGs. Well, full 180. It's just nothing but trash. To quote,
AI is a mistake, nothing but trash. The place I kind of
it is an insult to life itself, as Miyazaki said.
Oh, we could get into a tavern topic about that if we want to.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, with people making live action versions of not Spirited Away, Princess Mononoke and stuff, just to be, insulting to Miyazaki. I don't know. But
there was that, but then now there's the flip side of there's like some new filter on one of the shitty AI bots where you can make things Ghibli, and it has resulted already in some of the most horrific uses of that, and also the like most bastardized versions of what Ghibli even is.
Hey, here's Ghibli 9/11.
It's the most like it's the most transparent thing of like people don't understand what art is. They don't understand it as an expression of the self, as a willingness of vulnerability and self-expression. Instead, they're like, oh, art is just when thing look way. When it has color and also has lines drawn in this pattern, and it's the most robotic, like it is robotic. We can
mass produce it with cost certainty.
Yes, yeah, it's the Oscar Mayer baloney of art, and it's like cool. I'm glad we made this. It also
comes down to art being devalued. Like that's all it is.
Yeah,
same with writing.
There are uses of AI out there that do make sense and are actually pretty interesting, and none of them are involved in the creative pursuits.
No, like obviously you could use AI to do like really boring, repetitive tasks that a game developer could spend more, better time doing something else. But you don't need an AI to give you ideas.
Handling large number sets and doing things like that is actually pretty cool. And I'm like, why are we not sending AI after solving diseases and things like that? Instead, we're like, what if we replaced the most human thing about us with the content slop machine, the slurry? Like, ugh, hate it. Anyways,
that's why we're here to.
On that,
I heard Hank Hill going.
On that note, I would love it. I don't know if the Switch eShop currently has a thing that denotes if somebody has put AI in their game the way that Steam does, but that would be something that would be nice to see if it doesn't have that already. Yeah.
Switch 2 Direct. It'll be on April 2nd, 6 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Eastern. Tune in to the Axe of the Blood God Twitch channel, twitch.tv/BloodGodPod. Like and subscribe. Eric, Naughty, and Victor will be there reacting live to everything that is happening on the Switch 2. And of course, we'll be talking about it on the show itself. And I'll be on Kind of Funny as well. So, Blood God is ready for the Switch 2. That's it for the main topic. We'll get into the tavern in just a moment. But first, a series of random encounters. A major Monster Hunter Wilds update is out this week. Title Update 1 will bring with it Mitsuzune, Arch-Tempered, Raidao, Zoshia, and repeatable hunts, a grand hub, and, to the excitement of Monster Hunter fans, Lagiacrus, returning from Monster Hunter Tri. There's in it no water combat, but maybe that's for the best. People really like this hunt, so it's good to see it.
Logi will be in Title Update 2, not Title Update 1.
Title Update 2. My bad. Thank you for fact checking me, Eric, so that our pal Victor doesn't have to jump in and say, actually, Kat, it's Title Update 2.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, I can hunt the Arch-Tempered Raid Owl. That'll be a lot of fun. Toby Fox has announced a one-night-only orchestral concert event to celebrate Undertale's 10th anniversary. It will be taking place at London's Apollo on June 22nd. Warner Brothers Games has reportedly canceled the Hogwarts Legacy Definitive Edition.
Wow.
Grinding Gear Games says Path of Exile 2 has a 65% chance of arriving this year, and apparently the director was very surprised by how successful it was. I wasn't, but that'll be a huge deal when it comes out, for sure. Thunderfolk, the Jackbox-like tabletop game by Secret Door, has a release date. It'll be out April 23. I think we'll be playing it here on Axe of the Blood God, an independent RPG podcast. Look forward to that. The Legend of Heroes Trail Beyond the Horizon has been announced for a fall 2025 release on PS5, PS4, Switch, and PC. It's another Trails game. Here's a summary. Van Arkwright and the members of Arkwright Solutions are back, and this time the future of the entire Zemurian continent is at stake. The people of Zemuria await the launch of humanity's first foray into space with bated breath. Wow. Exciting. Their paths may diverge, but the ultimate question remains the same. Just what lies beyond the edge of the horizon? We're in space! Trails in space!
You okay, Eric? Is space funny?
No, I had a very cursed thought, and I'm debating
funny,
whether I want to
man?
express it. I was just like, man, so they're launching into space, and I was like, oh, like SpaceX. And I was like, what if a rocket blows up in an RPG? That's crazy.
We had a whole episode talking about the Challenger.
No.
Legend of Heroes launches a Tesla into space.
Yeah. It's a dark turn for the Trail series.
Wow. Claire Obscure Expedition 33 won't have a minimap to preserve its sense of discovery, its producer says. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2, remember that game? It's been delayed to October. Though PC Gamer hands-on, it's been delayed.
Okay.
Coming out. It's happening still.
Okay.
It's still coming out. So it's had a very long production cycle going back at least 7 years now at this point. It was under a different studio and then taken away.
Right.
And given to a different studio.
Eric has a very pained look on his face.
It was originally developed under Hardsuit Labs with a lot of the returning folks from Bloodlines 1. Things did not go well. There were, even though it, from what I understand, demoed very well, and there was a full demo build that people got hands-on with years ago.
And you can watch it on YouTube.
It is online, and it looks pretty darn good. And whatever powers that be decided no, and I believe it is now in the hands of the Chinese room, which made Amnesia Machine for Pigs, if I remember correctly. And no shame on them. I wish the best for this team. I wish the best for this project. I want them to be successful, if only because I want them to keep their jobs and stay employed and make video games. I just think that whatever Bloodlines 2 is going to be, I will be very surprised if it ends up feeling anything like Bloodlines 1, because this project has been through the ringer. And it's already, the new concept for the game is very different from the original concept for Bloodlines 2. And so I think at this point it's a vampire universe game. It's not quite a like Bloodlines successor. And so that's maybe the better way to look at it. There's been some cool stuff in that. Their visual novels in the vampire universe that have been really good. Vampire Swan Song, I think, was pretty interesting. But Bloodlines 2 is a weird thing where I feel like that project just got put through the ringer, and we're getting something, but it got a little ship at Theseus along the way.
Yeah, it's like an action game now.
Yeah.
Apparently very fun to play, high production values, but as for the really dense RPG elements that I think made the original Bloodlines pretty famous, things where if you picked a character class, you effectively got a certain character class, you effectively got a totally different game experience than what you would get from others. Maybe that aspect of it is going away. The dialogue choices aren't as interesting. So, I mean, we'll see. But I think the feeling is that it's not as faithful. And It's also a little bittersweet because the IP holder has been on the record as saying that while they're not giving up on Bloodlines, they are kind of giving up on making games in that universe.
Yeah.
They've tried a lot of them. There's that Battle Royale that came out that was not great. Like I said, the visual novels have been good, but they're visual novels. They're not going to set the world on fire. And Swan Song was a really cool project from the team that made The Council, and I enjoyed it, but I don't think that was going to immediately light people's worlds up either. I think Bloodlines was the big budget competitor that honestly, in this environment, in a post Baldur's Gate 3 world, would have done so well. In a post Disco Elysium, post Baldur's Gate 3, like, it was teed up for success. And for whatever reason, the powers that be did not want to trust in the team, and so instead we're going to get something else. And again, Chinese room, cook on it. Like, I hope y'all do well, but it's a bizarre development story.
Not that bizarre. Clearly, the correct answer is a Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines gacha game, in which you get
Yep, vampire waifus. My SSR vampire wife. She has dropped.
We're gonna have the summer beach episode, but it's gonna be at night.
See, they don't get
like,
no, they only have the day and they burn.
You're kind of cooking right now, Kat. You're kind of cooking. Like, this could sell. Let's go talk to Hoyo.
I've been watching What We Do in the Shadows on and off. And there's an episode where one of the vampires realizes that they have a way to go out into the sun, so they're out at the beach. I think they're at like Coney Island. They're really enjoying it. So maybe we could get that.
Floppy hat like Marceline in Adventure Time. It's really cute.
Exactly. I'm not joking. Like, this is actually, if you made it in an anime style, it would probably actually be really successful.
There's a Call of the Night. Call of the Night is the really popular anime/manga that's about vampires right now. Just do that, yeah. And then
the werewolf expansion would come out. There would be an Edward Cullen crossover.
Yeah.
From Twilight.
The actual universe of like vampire, werewolf, I think mage is also in that like tabletop universe, like the World of Darkness. Right. There's a lot of like potential fodder for something interesting in there, but yeah, it's like D&D is getting all this stuff. Pathfinder is getting all this stuff. A lot of tabletop RPGs are making the jump into these expanded universes that might end up being the thing that, here's a hot take, supplants gaming as the hot nerd property for the time being. Magic is trying to get in on this too, but I don't know. They don't got the right people to give Vampire that juice yet. They gotta figure some things out.
They do. I mean, in this day and age, for real, I mean, the correct answer is to turn everything into a freaking open world game. And that'll probably have, if you're making a AAA game, that's probably the best way to get success. So
what's that new one that's coming out? Dawn of the Day Stalker or whatever? Dawn of the whatever Seeker?
That's the guy, the game by the Witcher 3 folks.
Former Witcher folks. Yeah, that's what the vampire game probably should have been. Yeah. There you go.
And finally, Pillars of Eternity is 10 years old, and Obsidian is celebrating by adding turn-based combat as an alternative to real-time with pause. Pillars of Eternity came out on March 26, 2015. I remember it very well. I remember interviewing Josh Sawyer about it. And it was a huge deal for Obsidian because at the time, Obsidian was not doing well. Obsidian was coming off South Park, which a lot of people really enjoyed, but was a brutal development process that really put the studio in danger. There were layoffs after. And Pillars of Eternity was their big swing because they needed a way to make games. They wanted to make the games they wanted to make, which was isometric classic CRPGs. We forget about this now, but circa 2012, isometric CRPGs were very out of style. Extremely. Like, it was hard to imagine someone actually making one. And we've had many of them since. But Obsidian, Nadia's getting up and leaving.
Nadia's like, that's not my, this ain't my party. I don't go here.
I don't care.
CRPGs, no, fuck this shit. Y'all hit me up when it's Mario or whatever.
This is Final Fantasy.
Head pokes in. Was that Dragon Quest? Oh no, never mind.
Nope. I have literally nothing to add to this.
Oh my God, that broke you. We haven't broken you like that in a while. That was, oh my gosh.
It's just so funny. It's just the timing. Oh my God. Wow.
I have no business in this. Not party to this. Yeah, you're so right though. Like there was a time when Pillars of Eternity, Divinity Original Sin, we can all look in hindsight now and be like, oh, look at how big Baldur's Gate 3 is. But there was a time 10 years ago where that thing would not be so big. It was a difficult thing to sell. I remember demoing, I think it was Divinity 2, and even at the time I was going like, oh, this game is really cool, but it still feels like it's fairly niche and fairly low on the radar compared to other stuff. And it was that, you know, the breaking moment of all of those games, all those studios built up over time to finally reach peak and reach peak saturation. And Nadia's back now that we're done talking about CRPGs.
Yeah. Well,
I had to go to the bathroom.
Interesting.
I'm old. I don't know what to tell you.
The timing was pretty funny. Interestingly enough, the original Divinity Original Sin came out in 2014. Sorry, I'm going to say that again. Interestingly enough, the original Divinity Original Sin came out in June 2014 for PC, and that was successfully crowdfunded. And so you could say that Divinity was a little bit of a precursor to Pillars of Eternity. So you can't give it all the credit, but it was definitely a moment for Obsidian, a kind of a critical moment. And then it was successful enough. Deadfire was not as successful. And then Xbox came in. They released Grounded, and they seem to be in a much better place these days, thankfully.
Grounded is weirdly one of the things that might have ultimately done a lot for Obsidian
That was a
over
big
time.
one.
Even though we don't think about it all that often. Like, it was a big game for them, and I think has given them a lot of the room to do things like your Pentiments and stuff like that, which, oh my God, Pentiment is so freaking good. But I still have not finished Avowed, but playing that I was reminded like, oh, Obsidian has that sauce. It's got that ability to put that sort of game out there that thinks just a little bit differently about role-playing games, especially compared to what you would normally expect from a high-budget AAA game. And I think a lot of that goes back to Pillars of Eternity and just a studio and a group of people that are determined to make the games they want to make and the games they want to play. And that's really exciting to see. And I hope the continued success for them, because every time they put a game out, I pay attention. So the fact that they added a turn-based combat system is really interesting. What's your take on real time with pause? Do you like it as a system? I always kind of liked it. It really, really depends on the game and how it works. Because I mean, is Xenoblade real time with pause? Like, kind of. It's a little bit real time with pause. It always ends up feeling MMO-y to me, and so I can enjoy that. I think Dragon Age Origins was probably my favorite execution of it, because it felt like it was the right mix of kind of playing an action game, but then having the moment where you pan out to the tactical view, you move characters around and stuff like that. And I think if games could lean more into that, it would be really cool. But I think the way that MMOs have changed over the years has also changed the way that we think about those games over the years. So like Final Fantasy 14 raids get really popular, Dodge the Danger Puddles gets really popular, and so you see things like Grand Blue Fantasy Relink that could have been a real time with pause sort of game, but instead they're a little bit more actiony and have those raid ideas in there. And I'm getting like way big into theory now and all that kind of stuff. But it's like I like that system, but it has to be so designed towards the things it wants to do that it's a little bit difficult.
Yes.
I agree.
I think that it'll be a while before, if ever, before we see another proper real-time with pause game.
Yeah.
Especially after Baldur's Gate 3 set the template for turn-based. And I think that, I don't know, people like the kind of command-based tactics aspect to it. And it is really annoying where you hit the space bar and you start going through all of your attacks, and then the next thing you know, you've let the thread play out too much, and you're like, wait, pause. Ah, crap, what did I do wrong? So does that have a little bit of a real-time strategy aspect to it? If you want to go and listen to our original Pillars of Eternity interview, it's there on the podcast. We talked about it 10 years ago. I played it for US Gamer, so go check that out. Also in 2017, I think it was 2017, we actually went to Obsidian and interviewed Josh Sawyer, and we talked at some length about Pillars of Eternity and Deadfire. So both of that is on the Axe of the Blood God free feed. You can listen to it right now. Continuing onto the tavern, only a couple topics. We're all very busy playing Cyberpunk 2077. Yeah. Right now, ahead of the Pantheon stream. We were talking a little bit about it on the pre-show. Are you enjoying it, Nadia?
Actually, yes, I'm enjoying it very much, surprisingly so. Especially now, like, I've done several of the major storylines, at least up to the point that I can, except now I'm getting to the Nomad storyline, which I chose Nomad for my class, so I'm interested to see how life fares outside of the city, because one thing I've noticed about Night City, and actually it was said explicitly in one mission, is there's no animals. Mm-hmm. I like animals. I want to see animals. There's cats, naked cats, which is interesting.
Yeah, there are cats.
There's cats, but that's...
I think I saw them on news feeds.
Yeah, there's actually a news feed about how if you want to have a pet in Night City, it's like $1,000 a month for a tax. Mm-hmm. And if you're caught with the animal that's, you're not registered, you get like a $400,000 fine or something ridiculous like that. So
I think that was part of the Nomad quest line, right? When you're driving in, is that some of the cargo you're carrying is like an iguana or something?
Yeah, it's an iguana.
Yeah.
I wanted to keep it. But they're like, yeah, they had never seen one before, or they had like little idea what it was. And yeah, that's right. It was someone's like pet, illegal pet. Even though like you could get, like, if you live in Florida, you could probably get an iguana off the street if you wanted to. But yeah, so yeah, I'm enjoying it. I think the story is really compelling. I like city life. I like seeing how people live in cities. I know a lot of Night City is trash, but some of it's not. Like, I was actually driving around today in like this really kind of empty industrial space. I don't know how I wound up there. Just one of those things that happened. And it's like, oh, living in a city, like, it's not all Main Street. It's not all, Times Square. Even when you live in a major city, it's a lot of just these weird, run-down industrial places full of people who probably just want to kill you. But maybe less of that in real life. Yeah. So far so good. I can't complain. There's a turtle.
It's really pretty.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I vibe with it the most when I'm enjoying the graphics. I don't know
you have a good card. You have a fancy card and everything.
I do. I don't know if I vibe with the moment-to-moment gameplay that much.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think it wants to be the everything game. And it comes closer to succeeding in that than a lot of games of that type. But because it tries to do everything well, I don't think it does anything exceptionally well except presentation. And I think that can be a thing that we can talk a little bit on the stream when we do our big Pantheon discussion of Cyberpunk on April 1st. Yeah, I'm just like crunching through as much as I can. Crunching. And I'm glad that I'm finally picking up and playing it. I don't like it as much as Witcher 3 so far.
I'll definitely have to play Witcher 3 after this.
I look forward to Cyberpunk 2078.
Oh, yeah.
I agree with the sentiment that CD Projekt had to make Witcher 1 and 2 before they can make Witcher 3, and I think that's kind of the similar feel with Cyberpunk. But
good point.
So Pokemon TCG Pocket, both Eric and Nadia leave. No, wait, come back! Wait, come back, come back!
My washroom break.
Y'all, I'm still playing a lot.
Cat. How much money?
Shout out to none, actually. I'm having a great time.
Yeah, that's all right.
I look like I'm wailing out, but I haven't spent any money. It's actually a very friendly, free-to-play game.
Contrary to popular belief, I am not crashing out on Pokemon TCG Pocket. I'm doing totally okay. I've never been more back.
I haven't spent the Blood God budget.
In separate news, we're releasing a new Patreon tier. Help pay for Cat's Pokemon TCG Pocket habit. Longtime listeners of Acts of the Blood God will know that there are times when I find a game and become sort of obsessed with it.
IFA.
It's happened with Fire Emblem Heroes. It happened with Marvel Snap and Hearthstone. And Pokemon TCG Pocket is but merely the latest iteration of that. Shout out to Spooky Man BR and Lur, my pals over in the TCG Pocket thread over on the Discord, who have been trading with me and helping me fill out my collection and everything. Big ups to both of you. Really appreciate you. I have been playing in ranked mode and destroying bots because there's a lot of bots at the lowest levels.
That sucks.
But I do have a very good deck that uses Weevil and Darkrai. And you can get them up really fast. And you can do a lot of damage right out of the gate while your opponents, who are mostly probably running Arceus and Dialga decks, because those are one of the main metas, are trying to get set up on their end. And there's very little chance that you're going to not be able to get the cards that you need. However, in the actual competitive play right now, a trend is to have literally one Pokemon, just one Pokemon.
I think I heard this.
And 18, and the rest, everything else, are like trainers, items, support tools, whatever.
Oh, geez.
And the only reason they do this is so that they can get it up instantly.
Yeah. I was going to say that's
and then
that's part
it's
of the
really hard to take
mechanics.
down. Yeah. This is apparently a problem in the main TCG game as well. It's like it's a meta thing, so it's popped up in TCG Pocket as well.
But with Pocket, you're guaranteed, I think, to get a Pokemon on your first draw. Like you can't not draw a Pokemon on your first draw.
You have to get a Pokemon.
And then also,
so you want that Pokemon to be the best one.
And your energy generation is guaranteed too, so you can't get like screwed over by lands the way that you could in Magic, right? Where you're just not drawing lands. Like it generates automatic energy for you each turn, so you don't have to worry about drawing into your resources. And I do think that like changes the play space in really interesting ways. I've thought a lot about the way that Pocket changed if you tried to do Magic that way. If you had that sort of, what if you made a very slimmed down version of Magic where you had a 20 card deck and you completely got rid of lands and had that sort of automatic generation as a tool? How would that change the space? It's interesting. It's very cool to see the way that TCG Pocket creates meta spaces that feel a little bit different, but I have wondered what that means for the game's balance long term, especially if it's going ranked. Yeah. Especially if you're turning it into the sweats are going to get in there.
There's literal tournaments.
Yeah,
there are tournaments. People are playing
the tryhards
in competitive tournaments for Pokemon TCG Pocket, which is wild to me. Yeah, right now, like Giratina EX is very popular in the meta. There are a handful of very popular meta decks, but there's a decent amount of room to mess around and come up with anti-meta stuff, which is what matters, really. So I find it very enjoyable just to fill out my collection and try to get the best cards right. They just released a new set called Shining Revelry, which is just getting shinies, and I would love to have a Shining Charizard, but that seems unlikely. They also released EX starter sets, so if you're having trouble getting EX cards, you can complete some daily missions and get an EX set. But something that occurred to me was Pokemon does such a good job of making use of mobile games. Yes. They aren't trying to put Pokemon on mobile. They just do a really good job of coming up with interesting takes on mobile.
Yeah.
And whether it's the card game or literally Magikarp Jump or Pokemon Go.
That was such a good game. I want to see another Magikarp Jump.
I like that game.
Was charming.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm amazed that other game developers have not followed in its footsteps, because you don't have to port your full game experience to it. But if you can find a way to translate it in a fun way, people want to engage with your world on mobile.
I think Marvel Snap was a great example of that, right? Of we're going to get people who made Hearthstone, which Hearthstone was already kind of a revelation at the time. We're going to have them make the mobile killer card game app for Marvel, and it worked super well. I don't know how Snap is doing nowadays. I feel like Snap is probably a little bit lower on the totem pole nowadays, but they were
I was bounced off it. I was good.
It was like a revelation at the time, and
it was. Yes,
I think the funny part, and this is just my gut feeling. I have nothing besides anecdotal evidence to back this up, but I feel like TCG Pocket is being bolstered by the fact that it is really difficult to get physical Pokemon cards right now. Like, it is actually nightmare stuff out there if you want to try collecting the physical cards.
It's because people are literally investing in them.
That's so weird.
Yeah,
people treat them as investment vehicles, like gold.
And the last two sets, so Prismatic Evolutions in January was an EV-focused set. And there are certain things that if that is the focus of the set, it's going to constantly be in demand. The last EV set before it, I forgot what it's called, but I think it's Fusion something or whatever. But it had a bunch of really great EV full arts in it, and it became just the most sought after set because you could get this Umbreon and it was worth like hundreds of dollars and stuff. And so the new Prismatic comes out, has a ton of great, like an Umbreon, a Sylveon, all that kind of stuff, and it's impossible to get a hold of. Blooming Waters is like this box, like this reprint of the 151, which was a very popular set that was just about the original 151. Those boxes, impossible to find. Videos of people like fighting each other for them. And now Destined Rivals is booting up, and they're bringing back the trainers Pokemon cards. So like Gary's Arcanine, Rocket's Mewtwo, that kind of stuff. They're bringing those back for this new set, and already those are just impossible to get a hold of. And it sucks. It really sucks, because like I was somebody who got into it recently. Like, I say recently, like maybe about 4 years ago around pandemic times, and I have stopped because it's not easy to get a hold of the cards. I loved cracking packs. I loved getting full arts. I wanted to get like a display thing. Yeah, and it sucks because I love the art. I love that stuff. And now I'm like, even if I see stuff on the shelf, I'm like, can I just buy this and then tell the Target employee, like, hand this to a kid who shows up here disappointed, who wants to play the game, because I don't want the scalpers to get it. I want like some kid like I was when I was younger to have that moment of cracking a Pokemon pack and getting excited and playing the game with their friends and stuff like that. And it's just, the hobby's been turned into this weird speculative investment thing. It sucks. And so TCG Pocket ends up being the replacement for that, because you know what doesn't exist in TCG Pocket? Scalpers and scarcity. Like, you could just play the game, and it's crazy, but I really want that
Rainbow Leafeon. Oh my god, I just want it. I got a Rainbow Infernape, and it was such a great day for me. They do really do the FOMO. I think it's kind of interesting that they focused on Gen 1 and Gen 4 so heavily so far. You were mentioning very popular EV sets. Mm-hmm. They've really been holding their fire on that front. Like, you haven't gotten full art Flareon or Umbreon. You haven't gotten Espeon EX or whatever. You know that they'll pull the trigger on those when they need to get those player numbers up.
Flag a little bit. Yeah, I will probably come back when they do a big EV set.
Yeah, same.
Everybody's waiting for the EV set. Leafeon pops up in some competitive decks. I have a couple of Leafeons. I haven't really done much with them.
One of my favorite EVs.
It's funny because I don't use Leafeon. Historically, has not been that competitive. Granted, I'm not that up on Gen 8 and Gen 9 competitive decks or sets in classic Pokemon, but historically, Leafeon hasn't been that great compared to some of the other EVs. So it's fun to be thinking about it in a way that I haven't really. And I'm so jealous of some of those rainbow full art cards. All right. That's it for the tavern. Nadia, take us home.
So there was a discussion a few before the show started on Blue Sky about smoking. And I wanted to tell you about the most cursed room I've ever been in my entire life. Okay, so it was the 80s. And I'd say it was about 84, 86. No, 86, I would say. I ended up in the hospital a lot for weird stuff as a kid. You'd be very, very surprised to hear. At some point, I ended up in the hospital with a fever of 105. Don't know why. But I had to stay in the hospital for a week. And so my mom would visit every day. She lived down the street, thankfully. My mom was a 2-pack-a-day smoker, as was everyone else at this time in human history. And back then, and this is hard to even believe when I think on it, when my mom would visit, she'd say, okay, I gotta go for a smoke. And we would both go, me, 6, into this room that the hospital had. This was a hospital room full of smokers. And I mean just jam-packed, just blue tobacco smoke everywhere. And I'm sitting there like, la, 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 breathing this all in as a patient at a hospital. And I'm there for being treated sickness. And this room, as I recall, it was just like, first of all, it smelled horrible. Like, if you're in a room with that much cigarette smoke, I can guarantee, even though I was a kid who was raised by smokers, no kid should be inhaling cigarette smoke. It's just not good for you. And it was a really boring-ass room, and I hated going in it because, yeah, the smell was one thing, but also all it had was people smoking, being depressed, I guess. And there was like back then, I've noticed this is totally gone from society now, but there was a big table full of magazines. Something they used to have a lot in doctors' offices, I guess, before mobile really started taking off, were these horrible, outdated magazines that were probably all smelling of cigarette smokes. And yeah, my mom took me into the cursed room that the hospital approved and made. And the nurses were like, okay, bye. And that's what cigarette culture was like in the 80s, and I'm so glad it's gone.
I keep picturing it like the Red Room from Twin Peaks, where people are speaking in weird like tones and stuff like that. It's just all bad. Like, oh no, I don't want to go there.
It sounded like that because I don't know anything about grown-up problems. Like, my fucking wife, no smoking, chain smoking. It's like, I want to go back to the hospital room. At least there I have apple juice and TV. I can watch Fred Penner.
My freshman year at college was the year that they finally banned smoking in Minneapolis and St. Paul. And initially they banned it in Minneapolis, and there was this huge outcry, of course. And people were, what are you going to ban next? Racism? And, well, I believe I'll take my business. I believe I'll take my business to St. Paul. And then St. Paul banned it as well. And people got really annoyed. But I have very clear memories of when I was initially dating my girlfriend at the time, now still partner, and we would go to this coffee shop, and the level, because we liked playing chess there and we liked the coffee, but the smoke, the haze of smoke was so thick in that place that we would basically come out coughing and hacking and smelling of cigarette smoke, and we couldn't get out of our clothes or our hair for days.
Yeah.
There was a place on campus called Stub and Herbs. We went to University of Minnesota. Might still be there. And that place was also just so much cigarette smoke. And when they banned smoking, it smelled like a toilet for years. Could not get that. They could not get that smell out. So...
No, it's Canada cracked down pretty hard on smoking earlier than the U.S. because I guess if you have socialized healthcare, you don't want everyone going in there with like lung cancer and whatnot. So we banned smoking from most places. And then when I went to the States, once I met my husband, we got married. in North Carolina, they still had smoking everywhere, and they're like, okay, here's the non-smoking section, and that's what I realized. It doesn't mean shit if you're in a non-smoking section. It still smells like cigarettes, and I realized, wow, I did not miss this one bit.
I moved to Japan, and when I moved to Japan, there was still a lot of indoor smoking.
Oh yeah, I think they're only now starting to really crack down on that.
They cracked down on it the last time I checked. So
yeah, it's gross. I'm sorry, like. The problem I have with smokers, I don't care what you put in your body. It's not my business. I don't want to smell your smoke, number one. I can deal if I really have to. What I really hate are the litter bugs. Stop throwing your fucking cigarettes wherever you... like, get a garbage can, you assholes. Number two, stop horking everywhere. I'm sorry. Don't do that. You don't have to do that. Dude. We are a civilization. We don't have to do that. Like, stop smoking if you're going to do that. Oh, it's so gross.
It can get worse. So
I know it can probably get worse.
So when I went to university in Lubbock, Texas, and a lot of dudes there would do dip during class.
No.
And they would always, like, some of them would have like the styrofoam big gulps or whatever, but there would always be one dude with a clear Dasani water bottle that would just be spitting into it in the middle. Like, he's just sitting there in the middle of the class, just like every time, and it's just like you see like, and personally to me, it's never been appealing. I have never seen the appeal. I have smoked in my life. I have like all the tobacco and stuff like that. I've never once saw the appeal of dip because it's just the nastiest looking stuff that smells terrible. I've never even tried it, but it probably tastes bad. And then the thing that comes out of it is like the most... it looks like what happens to a Dark Souls NPC before they turn PvP on and start trying to fight. It's what happened to Solaire in Dark Souls.
Dip kills Solaire, everyone. Hear it here first.
This is the shit that killed Solaire.
I don't know if anyone... Canadians, feel free to correct me, but I have never seen anyone do dip up here. I'm kind of glad for that.
It's nasty.
It's more of a southern thing, I think.
Yes.
Anthrax B says it's gun for insane people. Sure sounds like it.
You see it a lot either in the South or with baseball players for some reason. Dip was very popular with baseball players.
Because they were addicted to nicotine. You couldn't smoke in a 3-hour game.
Yeah.
So what are you going to eat? You're going to chew.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. And they were encouraging baseball players to switch to gum.
Back when athletes still smoked and drank.
Do you remember, Kat, like when you could buy shredded bubblegum tobacco, like in packets, and like that was the closest I ever came to.
Also, gum cigarettes, tobacco. And you would think you were so hardcore. It's like,
I remember the gum cigarettes. I lit one on fire.
I do like the candy cigarettes are fun though. I do like those.
They taste good.
RPGs are the only genre I can think of where smoking is an active mechanic. Well, Metal Gear Solid,
yeah.
And you would actually like reduce your health. I think you could kill yourself by smoking.
I'm going see y'all.
But you could also use it to expose laser tripwires.
That's right.
Yeah. I did like that. That was a cool mechanic.
It was a cool mechanic.
Metal Gear Solid. What if we did that for a Pantheon?
I wouldn't be. I never liked it. I just never got into Metal Gear Solid.
That honestly surprises me.
MGS2 is very much on my list of shame.
MGS3 is on my list of shame.
Talk about backlog of shame. MGS3 is amazing.
It's an amazing game.
I know that one. I do.
You should play Delta.
I will play Delta when it comes out. That's the one I am like, okay, I gotta play 3. The other ones take or leave, but 3 I definitely want to play.
I was visiting someone recently, or like I don't remember when, like last year. And they were playing Metal Gear Solid 1 for the PS1. And I was like, that game whips. It's so good. The presentation, the voice acting, the boss fights, the level design, it was all just worlds above what was available at the time. Best PS1 game. It's not close in my opinion.
There's a trifecta of games that I've never like fully played more than like 10 to 15 minutes of, and it's Devil May Cry, Castlevania, and Metal Gear Solid. And I keep thinking about picking one of those and just doing like a stream series where I play through a bunch of them.
And Metal Gear Solid.
I was thinking about Devil May Cry though, because it's Devil May Cry. It's pretty good.
None of you get anything.
Which one though?
Oh, all
5, 3.
I'd start with 1.
DMC
and go all the
1's
way through.
very different from 3.
Yeah.
2 is not good.
Yeah.
2 is not good. 4 is questionable. It's 1, 3, and 5 are the best.
Numbers. But MGS is like, I've only played through Phantom Pain, and I've played like about 30 minutes to an hour of Snake Eater.
Dude, play Delta when it comes out.
I kind of just want to go back to MGS 1 and start there and just go all the way through.
That's a great place to start. MGS 1 holds up 100%.
I watched my friend play through a bunch of MGS 2 when I was younger, and I remember him getting really angry at the Fat Man boss fight where he had to like, he roller skated around or whatever, and that was crazy. I was like, these games are nuts. I should play these.
Kojima.
They did get pretty wild. MGS 1 plays it. I mean, they do literally have a psychic guy who's running around reading your memory card, and a sniper that has wolves hanging out with her and stuff like that. But
he's so cool.
It plays it a little more straight than some of the other games that have come out since.
Is 4 on anything that isn't PlayStation 3 at this point? Like, has 4 been ported at all?
It's hard to find, but it's coming out. It's getting remastered, so it's coming out.
Oh, that'd be sick, yeah.
Yeah. 4, you definitely want to play 1 and 2 and 3 before you play 4. Put it that way.
Yeah, that's the one that's like the cap off. I've seen the parts of the fist fight that happened at the end of that, and that was like, oh, that looks kind of sick.
Young baby cat got a PlayStation 1 in 2000 or 1999 or whatever, and got a copy of Metal Gear Solid with it, and I had literally never seen anything like it at that time. It was, for me, the true beginning of the AAA action-adventure genre. But maybe not an RPG, but that's fine. I think I just said just recently on the Discord that an RPG is whatever I happen to want to talk about at any given moment, so I don't really care.
It's very true.
The Pantheon of the Blood God is Cat's favorite games. The Pantheon.
Oh no, Robot Wars again?
Yeah.
I've exposed my secrets. And on that note, that's it for this week's episode of Axe the Blood God. Thank you so much for listening. Please support us over on Patreon, patreon.com/bloodgodpod. Please like and subscribe our Twitch channel. We had a good crowd today, twitch.tv/bloodgodpod. You'll be able to watch our streams as we're reacting to the Switch 2 announcement. That's April 2nd at 6 a.m. Pacific. We've got a Pantheon coming up. So much content. Holy moly. Go and subscribe to our newsletter at bloodgodpod.com and go to our merch site, shop.bloodgodpod.com, where you can get 10th anniversary merch, mouse pads, hoodies, you name it, mugs. It's there. All over there. We're heading now into the Axe of the Blood God post show over on the Discord, so come on, join us right there. That's exclusive for our patrons. But in the meantime, we'll be back next week, as always. And until then, for Nadia, Eric, and myself, thanks for listening, and happy adventuring.